what happened is, right, so Obama, who was obviously a very, very smart guy and, incredibly talented politician, at least while he was running for president, he was. I think he's lost a step. But so Obama still was a bit of a narcissist, and he wanted to pick Joe Biden as his VP. He didn't want someone who was going to outshine him. And so he picked Joe Biden, who, even before he went senile, was never particularly bright. So he picked Joe Biden as his VP. And then Joe Biden, well, he wanted some diversity points, and he also wanted someone to not outshine him because now he was becoming senile and he was never that bright to begin with. So he picks Kamala Harris to be his VP. And then Kamala Harris needs to pick someone who won't outshine her. You know what I mean? So it's like the idiocracy just like spun out of control real quick, where all of a sudden you get to like the third VP in a row and you're like, yo, really? This is who you picked? Like,
he's a knucklehead.
You know what's crazy is that this was in many ways this presidential election was just so wild and so different from anything I've ever seen in my lifetime. I'm 41, and this was different than any other presidential election of my lifetime for sure. And I think substantially before
anybody's
that.
Lifetime.
Yeah, I think before that too. But then there were these things that were also just like very conventional explanations for why you look at this Trump blowout. And it's almost like as you look back at it, it's like, yeah, what, you guys thought you could get away with it? It's just very basic things that like Donald Trump picked a VP who, whether you like him or not, is a pretty impressive guy.
Very impressive.
Pretty impressive guy. There's a guy who was raised by a single parent who was a drug addict and ended up serving the country, going to an Ivy League school, becoming a venture capitalist, becoming a senator, and can sit and have a conversation with you for 3 hours and be very intelligent and expressive.
And have fun. He had fun.
However you feel about him, objectively an impressive person.
Yes.
He picked a VP that could help him.
Right.
He could do things that Trump can't do.
Right.
Like he could go on a show and really make the case pretty well in a hostile environment. He's got a very high verbal IQ, clearly. He's a very intelligent guy. She picked a VP who can't do anything to help her, who's like the weirdest human being you've ever seen. Like what was the strategy here, guys? And they really just banked on being not Trump. They go, all of the things that she ran on 4 years ago, she walked away from every position and didn't have an answer for any of them. Didn't have an answer for why. Like, it's totally fine to change your mind on something, and it's totally,
you should have a reason.
Yeah, I mean, and it's very easy. We've all changed our minds on a lot of things. And if you were like, "Hey, dude, you used to believe this, but you believe this now," you'd be like, "Well, let me tell you something.
Yeah,
I read this guy, and he just made such a good argument about it, and then he had all this data that I hadn't really seen before." That's fine, but she never had an answer for any of them. She went, "My values haven't changed." What? Well, okay. So, but again, what's the answer then? Like, you were for Medicare for all, now you're not. You were for open borders, now you're not. You were for whatever, a bunch of other stuff, trans surgeries for prisoners or whatever. Now you're not. What happened? She had no answer for that. She's also the sitting VP, and they go, "Oh, so are you running on the track record of the last 4 years?" Like, no. I'm also not going to run on that. Well, why not? Because I'm not Joe Biden. Like, it's like, what? What? That's what you're running on? That's it?